Baldur's Gate 3 is coming along quite nicely as more information and updates have come out for it, and personally, I like the look of it, but one of the things that hampers my excitement for it is the lack of voiced protagonist. Now, I know that many people will respond to this saying Baldur's Gate 3 is better without it, and /or voice protagonists in RPGs ruin the genre. I am not here to argue with any of that. The discourse surrounding voiced versus silent protagonist is something that you cannot give a correct answer to, because you can't argue with someone why their preference is wrong. Whichever side of the argument you fall on, you're on it because you like it. You didn't argue your way into liking it, it's just that you played a game that you liked and went from there. Not saying that there isn't discussion to be had, advantages and disadvantages, just that I'm simply talking about a feature that is hinted at existing in Baldur's Gate 3 that could make me like it more. With that out of the way, let's talk about Baldur's Gate 3's protagonist. In a Reddit AMA with the developers, Adam Smith said in no uncertain terms that the custom characters will have voice acting, and in a follow-up question to clear up what he said, they'll have full voice acting just like Origins. That clearly means a fully voiced protagonist and not, well, it actually is just a few voice lines. No, just full voice acting. Now, some people will say that Larian did confirm that the game won't have voice acting, citing the interview done by Tech Register with producer David Walgrave. But what is important to note is that this interview was done on the 28th of February 2020, while the AMA was done on the 12th of March 2020. This is important to note as, in my belief, newer statements override previous statements. Then you have people say that what Larian meant is that the origin and custom characters will take the place of the narrator, but that doesn't make any sense, as Adams answered a comment saying, will custom non-origin characters have voice acting, or is it the origin characters only? With his answer being, hello, yes, custom characters will have voice acting. You'll choose as a voice as part of the character creation. So he couldn't be referring to the characters being the narrator, he is referring to them voicing dialogue lines. Now, it is true that the first gameplay reveal had Astrion, an origin character, narrate at certain points, but that doesn't mean that there won't be voice acting as well. It is also important to know that the first gameplay reveal was done on the 27th of February 2020, before the AMA, meaning that the answer Adam gave was not talking about the origin and custom characters being the narrator, but just them voicing their dialogue lines. So, when the Baldur's Gate 3 community update had Sven saying that they changed their narrator due to the feedback on the first reveal, that was them saying that they changed the narrator and not the player character being fully voiced. The words used by Adam and Sven are referring to different things, so that doesn't mean that the player character will not be voiced, just that they won't be the narrator. But as the game continues to get updates and that answer starts to feel untrue. If you play the game now, you'll see that there isn't a lot of evidence that the player character will talk. There are some bits and pieces of dialogue.
They spoke of the absolute, same as that goblin, Sazza. Curious. Sounds like trouble.
Pieces of dialogues but not to the degree that you expect there to be. Now, this can mean two things. One, Larian quietly backed away from the full voice acting due to the time and cost to voice the protagonists, or two, they never actually were going to do voice dialogue lines, and what Adam said was referring to the narration. It was just a huge misconception and miscommunication. But then why doesn't Larian just say that aren't going to do a voice protagonist? Why not try to clear the confusion up instead of just letting it be? It's not like many people would get upset at this fact. That I can't answer. I would like them to just give a statement on the matter, but no matter how hard or long I search, I can't find anything on whether or not the game will have fully voiced protagonists, just the same AMA saying that they will have full voice acting. But what I can say is that how I feel about the lack of a voice protagonist, and that is disappointment. Not just disappointment for the lack of it, but also that the cinematics of the game make me more disappointed. Like, why do you have such beautifully made cutscenes that immerse you in the world world but refuse to allow your character to talk. These cutscenes are ruined by your character just awkwardly posing for the camera, especially their facial expressions that just make it worse. It takes all the intentions of the cutscenes have and throws them away. Was this cutscene meant to be serious? Not anymore. It's funny now because your character looks a bit grumpy. The times the cutscenes look and feel great are times when it has two fully voiced characters bouncing off each other, because it can actually take advantage of the cinematic cutscene to its fullest. It's not just that the lack of voice acting hinders the game for me, it is that the game overall is affected by this. It wouldn't matter if there weren't any voice acting if the game didn't have cutscenes, but it does, and that hurts the game. I like the game a lot. Genuinely, it seems right up my alley. A cinematic RPG with well-written characters and companions in a beautifully fantastical made world. It's basically Dragon Age, and I love Dragon Age, but the lack of voiced protagonists makes me feel so sad and disappointed. I really hope they do add a fully voiced protagonist, because I can only imagine how much more I can love the game if it had that.